Investors, speculators, and collectors spent over $40,000 on collectible comics this week. Let's discuss why. The hottest books in the world. Hit the subscribe button because number 10 on the list, I'll tell you, people are overpaying on.
Venom Lethal Protector #1, classic red foil cover. We all know this book from the 90s. Now, there are some variations of this book and ones I do recommend that you get into, but this common book is selling for almost double than what it did in the past, and we know why. The hype is high. The 9.8 sold for $200. That's up 83% above the 12-month average of only $109. And that's where you should be picking up this book. Take your time, wait on it, because not just one person did that. We had 8 copies outsell the 12-month average. You'll have a lifetime to pick this book up. Be patient. Despite the fact it's the first solo series featuring Venom, and it's a great book, take your time. Now, let's talk about something special when we talk about this book. 11,000 copies of a gold foil were printed, and they only went to retailers, so the only place you could pick it up was at a store. And we saw a 9.8 sell for $1,140. That's about consistent of where it should be selling or does sell at the moment. If you're going to put your money in aggressively on a book, save up and put it into the gold foil. That's my opinion.
Did you watch Venom: The Last Dance? Let me know in the comments section below. It has a 37% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes currently. Not looking too good, but no. Looks so glorious. Number 9 on the list, Amazing Spider-Man 194, the first appearance of Black Cat. The newsstand 9.0 is up 10%, selling for $400. The 9.2 Direct sold for $425, an increase of 8%. And the newsstand 9.2 is up 9%, selling for $450. Over $2,300 in sales took place in the last 7 days. 8 different sales outdid the recent 12-month average on a pretty pricey book. Let's not forget that in the Sonyverse, we saw an Easter egg of Black Cat on a newspaper in the Morbius movie. Also, Easter eggs for Kraven, Easter eggs for Rhino, both of which we're getting very soon. So clearly, these Easter eggs aren't there just for fan service. There is a great potential that we could see Black Cat in the future. And with Sydney Sweeney rumors, that right there is all it takes to get this book on collectors' radar, despite the lack of news or rumors in the last 7 days.
A little surprised that this book's on this list is I had a 9.8 white pager at New York Comic Con and not a single person asked to see that book. Love the book, but what else is love is number 8. G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, #1. 7 sales above the 12-month average for $2,700. Cool book, great first appearance, but we need to talk about the impact of G.I. Joe literally historically amongst generations. Because we had 12-inch action figures come out in 1964, and it was an extremely strong toy, and then eventually became cartoons, comic books, and just continued to explode since then. For a franchise that affects so many generations through their childhood, to see this book trading at what it trades for seems a bit low to me. So let's take a look at some of these numbers. A 9.4 sold for $275. That's up 21% above the 12-month average. A 9.6 is up 3%. And the newsstand 9.8 sold for $1,389. That's up 6%.
$830 is right now what this 9.8 Direct is trending at. Someone paid in the 600s this year for that book at a 9.8, and that's a bigger book. It's not easy to acquire this in high grade. I mean, people who buy G.I. Joe are similar to like Transformers collectors. Back then, they read them. They opened them up. They re-enjoyed the comic multiple times. G.I. Joe has landed on the Hot 10 4 different times this year alone, largely because of how volatile this price has gotten and how many people are deciding to throw money down now this year with prices getting so low. In a short 2 weeks, in the Energon universe, they're debuting a brand new character, the first new G.I. Joe character in this universe. And his name is Risk, and it's being brought to you by the brilliant writer Joshua Williamson. Pick that up, if not for spec alone, for what will be an amazing story.
How is this so cheap? I don't understand. Okay, there is no tool in your tool bag at home that's going to cost you $2 a month. That's how much it is for a full version. Now, you can just go and get the free version, which gives you a plethora of unbelievable tools. So put in code Tom101, get the free 2 weeks, check it out. If you don't like it, drop it. But I cannot believe that you're not going to see value in that. So please check it out and support the show.
I bet you'll find one book on the hunt, courtesy of Key Collector, that'll pay for the entire year, and it'll just be the start. Looking at the list at number 7, we have Uncanny X-Men 266, the first full appearance of Gambit. And prior to yesterday, I may have been a little surprised about the longevity that this book has had on our Hot 10 and on the Trending 10, etc. But yesterday, I purchased Deadpool Wolverine. Paid $30. You can either rent it for $25 or purchase it for $30. I bought it, rewatched the movie. It was the second time I've seen it. And I had all the same feelings that I experienced from the first time watching it in theaters over San Diego Comic-Con weekend. And I think a lot of people are going to share those same feelings right now. The movie is perfect. My favorite MCU movie to date. And seeing Channing Tatum Gambit made me not surprised that Uncanny is back on the list today. Well deserved. The 9.4 selling for just under $200, up 4%. The 9.6 up 10%. The newsstand 9.6 is up 24%. You can get it for $450.
In at 6, Silver Surfer number 3. Talk about a book that's been on spec for a long time. We've had about 4 years since WandaVision when we thought we were going to see Mephisto then. We haven't yet, but in Agatha episode 3, we had a name drop. And that's a big freaking deal because I can't tell you how many people are excited to see this character appear in the MCU.
Only 2 episodes left. Will we see this character? We've heard rumors of Sacha Baron Cohen joining the cast of the Ironheart show to go up against Riri or to provide the powers to the Hood. Who knows? But we have a 6.5 up 8%, 7.0 13%, and the 7.5 going for $5.98. That's up 10%.
They're choosing to drop the final 2 episodes simultaneously. So by the time this video comes out, you guys are already going to know if we see Mephisto or not.
Support what we do. Join the Mystery Mail Club. We send out our members comics every month, and we have a glorious Gargoyles variant going out. But I want to tell you about the Uncanny X-Men #1, Rogue by Adi Granov. This is a Trinity Comics trade dress, New York City Comic-Con exclusive that's going for more than the box costs. ComicTom101.com. Join the community. We'll send you some funny books.
In at 5, a book that's been on this list 10 times now. Incredible Hulk 340. 9 sales above the 12-month average for $2,400 spent. This is as iconic as it gets for a cover. Todd McFarlane crushes it. We all know this book, but did you know that a 9.4 sold for $290? That's up 19%. The 9.6 sold for $362, up 3%. And the newsstand, 9.6 sold for $587. That's up 31%.
Todd is taking some of his most iconic covers as well as other major creators' covers and bringing them to a 3D rendered like figure model that you'll be able to purchase, including this cover. And this is another one. After seeing Deadpool again yesterday, I'm like, damn, I kind of want this book now. I think that there is a whole second life to spec potential and for comic sales. If the movies do a really good job, the streaming services offer another opportunity to reinvigorate the interest, but also introduce the interest if they didn't catch it at the theater in the first place.
Despite a low 37% Rotten Tomatoes score, we still have a rush to the number 4 spot on this book of Venom number 3, the first appearance of Null.
Keep in mind, at New York City Comic-Con, Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman did a signing, and they charged more money to sign Venom 3 in particular. They had it actually in their ad. You had to pay $50 versus whatever they were charging, like $20 or $30. So if you can get a signed copy, keep those prices in mind because you may actually be getting a good deal. Those prices may actually go up if the signature is present.
We both watched this movie. We don't need to get too deep into it, but I do have to say I did enjoy it, especially from the second half on. I felt the first half, third was a little rough, and there was some acting issues and some unnecessary scenes. But I'm not sure. How did you feel about it? Because we haven't even had a chance to discuss it yet.
I thoroughly enjoyed Venom: The Last Dance. But it's not because Venom actually dances in the movie. The movie was kind of boring at parts. The acting was kind of off in parts. But what I will say is that every time Null was on the screen, I was pumped. I was grinning. People around me were probably going, this guy really likes Venom, but that's not the case. I like Null. And if this movie makes any money whatsoever and is deemed as a success whatsoever, it's because of 2 people. And it's not Tom Hardy. It's because of Ryan Stegman and Donny Cates.
With that said, I'm still curious if this book's going to be on the list next week. But the SDC Steve Stegman variant, 9.8, sold for $175. That's up 20%. The 9.8 sold for $282. That's up 31%. And 8 copies outsold that 12-month average. Isn't that great? The third printing, 9.8 sold for $352. That's up 3%.
Which brings us to number 3. Multiple symbiote keys making the list courtesy of Venom: The Last Dance. And we're not going to get into spoilers, but clearly we knew going into this that there is a setup, hopefully, for the symbiote, because they're not just going to get rid of the symbiote long term. Could it be acquired by Spider-Man? At the list of number 3, Marvel Superhero Secret Wars issue number 8, the origin of the black costume. The newsstand 9.4 is up 3%, going for $275. The 9.8 had 4 copies outsell the recent 12-month average, the highest for an increase of 24%, selling for $620. And we got news that Spider-Man 4 is in the works. Like, it's happening.
I just want to quickly ground this list. And really, every week when we have our Hot 10s, We generally discuss books that are keys. They're keys before the movies. They're keys after the movies. They're just something that you're always going to see on a con floor or sold somewhere on some type of platform as something important. So the percentages might change here and there a little bit, but at some point, just need to recognize that they're still important books when it comes to the history of comic books. And we saw, for this book specifically, 11 sales above the 12-month average for $3,600 spent. And a lot of that might be coming off the announcement that Tom Holland had that Spider-Man 4 is officially coming out. And it's actually going to come out between Doomsday in 2026 and the Avengers Secret Wars in 2027, which in the next couple years is really something exciting to look forward to.
Which gives us reason why number 2 is spiking on the list. The first time Dr. Doom fights Spider-Man in Amazing Spider-Man issue number 5. 7 sales, over $7,000 worth of money is moved virtually. The 2.0, it's a pricey book, $650, up 3%. The 3.0 had a year-high sale at $701. The 4.0 went for $1,000, up 8%. And a 6.5 sold for $2,000, up 5%. How do those prices feel on this book? Because it is a pretty major moment, but it also is a single-digit Spidey key. It's a cool key book, but not like the greatest cover.
As somebody who's been in this hobby for 25 plus years in a serious, actual buying, selling, dealing, collecting manner.
You buy a lot of Spidey, dude.
I do. And the books right now, for single-digit Spideys especially, are very, very approachable. Now, I'm not saying the number isn't a big number for many, many people, but for the historical aspect of where these numbers have been, and to put your money in a character that basically is one of the most important characters in the Marvel universe, to have a book be at a 6.5 for an important book like this and sell for $2,000, I mean, that's kind of almost a gift when you think about long-term where these books can go and have been, to be honest.
The announcement of Robert Downey Jr. portraying Victor Von Doom obviously shook the fans at their core. But one of the biggest reasons why it's so impactful isn't because, he used to be Iron Man. It's because of the relationship that Tony Stark had with various characters that are going to see him as what could be like a variant of Tony Stark as a major villain in the MCU. In particular, one that he bonded with. Tom Holland, Peter Parker. This right here could be a major moment and retroactively uplift this already key single-digit Spidey book more than it has ever gotten.
Mephisto is also a big impact on this character because if we look at the lore of Dr. Doom between the science and magic that he has, I mean, this is a major, major character that's going to play a huge role. And I'm excited to see, like I said, this book where it's at. I don't think you should pay more than that, though. I say stay like this for the next couple years and see if there's any opportunity to pick it up for a little bit less, but long-term, great book.
Hit the like, slap the subscribe button. We're here every single week covering the hottest books, the back issue, the key books, the wall books in the world. And the number 1 book on the list is a must for every PC. I have it at a 9.8. It's Amazing Spider-Man 300, the first appearance of Venom. Yeah, Venom Last Dance probably spiked up interest in this book, but the book is like selling at such an affordable rate, and it's such a major key that people are hunting for all the time. It doesn't take much to push it up to number 1 on our list this week. 12 sales did it. Over $9,000 was spent on ASM 300 this week.
An 8.0 sold for $465. That's up 15%. The 9.2 is up 12% for $595. The 9.4 up 29%, $800. And the 9.8 up 7% for $3,142 sale. I have to tell you, I'm a little shocked on this book. I am. If you ask me what the price is for a 9.8 of this book, being how many there are, and how common this book is, I would have been like, cap $1,500.
Yeah, right now the 12-month average is right around $3,000. The last GPA sale was $2,700, but there's a total of 1,666 copies at a 9.8 alone. I will say, however, not all 9.8s look the same of this book.
And that's true. I mean, we do have that rough cut edge, and this book paper does seem to lend towards color breaks that CGC still accepts a 9.8.
Indeed. So it makes sense to me why sometimes people will pay $100 or a few $100s more for one copy over the other. Do you own this book? Do you own any comics on our list today? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always,
geek responsibly.
Enough said.